The clash of titans echoed through the Senate chamber. Yoda and Darth Sidious, two of the most powerful Force wielders in the galaxy, were locked in a deadly duel. Sparks flew, pillars crumbled, and the Force screamed with energy. The balance of the galaxy hung by a thread. But in this version of events, everything changed. As Sidious hurled another wave of Force lightning, Yoda did not fall. Gritting his teeth, drawing deep from the Force, the Grand Master stood his ground, saber held firm. With a fierce cry, he deflected the attack, not just to defend, but to strike. Using Sidious's own lightning against him, Yoda channeled the energy through his saber and surged forward, launching himself into the air. In one swift, blinding movement, he drove his lightsaber straight into the chest of the Sith Lord. The Emperor gasped. For the first time, fear flickered in Sidious's eyes. Then silence. The Dark Lord collapsed to the floor, the sizzle of his robes the last sound he'd ever make. Yoda landed, breath heavy. Around him, the chamber was still. No cheers, no witnesses, just the fall of the dark side incarnate. But there was no time to reflect. The guards would be coming. Yoda knew he couldn't stay. He contacted Bail Organa immediately. "The Emperor defeated, I have," Yoda said. "Leave now, we must."
Within minutes, Bail's speeder arrived. Yoda slipped into the shadows of the cityscape, carrying with him the weight of victory and the burden of what came next. Obi-Wan had to be found. If he had survived his own duel with Anakin, there was still hope. But Yoda also knew that with Sidious gone, the ripple through the Force would not go unnoticed. Vader would feel it, and that made him even more dangerous. The Jedi Order had fallen, but the darkness had not yet lifted. Victory was only the beginning of the real challenge, restoring peace, justice, and trust to a galaxy ripped apart by war. Yoda wasn't running to exile, not anymore. He was running to finish what the Jedi started.
The scars of Mustafar. Smoke curled above the rivers of lava on Mustafar. The stench of molten rock and scorched metal filled the air. On a blackened shoreline lay the charred, broken figure of Anakin Skywalker. Obi-Wan stood motionless. He hadn't left, not yet. Something held him there, a whisper in the Force, or perhaps the echo of a friendship too strong to bury. Suddenly, a sound behind him. "Master Kenobi." It was Bail Organa's voice over the comlink. "Yoda has done it. The Emperor is dead." Obi-Wan's eyes widened. Relief and shock washed over him. For a moment, he almost believed things could still be salvaged. "Yoda's on his way," Bail added. "Hold your position." Obi-Wan looked back at Anakin, burning, twitching, still alive. He didn't know what to feel. Then, from the sky, a familiar shape descended. Yoda emerged from the speeder, silent, measured. He walked toward Obi-Wan, who simply nodded, his expression vacant. "Alive, he is," Yoda said, eyes narrowing. "But for how long?" "We could save him," Obi-Wan whispered. "Bring him back." Yoda was quiet. Then, "Dangerous he remains. Sidious gone, but not the shadow he left." But Obi-Wan stepped back. "Please, he was my brother."
Yoda hesitated. He knelt beside Anakin's writhing form. The Force trembled. Anakin's yellow eyes opened, and with the last of his strength, he lunged, Force choking the Grand Master. But Yoda was ready. In one fluid motion, he broke free and struck. Anakin's scream echoed across the lava fields as Yoda ended it. The Skywalker line severed in a single flash. Obi-Wan turned away. "Had to be done," Yoda said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Your heart, heavy it is, but failure this was not." They boarded the ship in silence. Back on Bail's cruiser, Padme was dying. She had given birth to twins, Luke and Leia, but the spark of life was fading from her eyes. Yoda and Obi-Wan stood over her, and she looked up weakly. "Are they safe?" "They will be," Obi-Wan promised. Padme smiled faintly, then was gone. The galaxy had lost its emperor and its chosen one in the span of a day. What remained was fragile hope and two newborn lights in the darkness.
Shadows and secrets. As Yoda and Obi-Wan recovered aboard Bail's vessel, the question now became, what next? Without Sidious, the Empire fractured but didn't fall. High-ranking officers scrambled to fill the void. The clone army, still dangerous, had acted under an order none of them understood. Then came Ahsoka's transmission. "Master Kenobi, Master Yoda, you are alive!" Her voice carried shock and relief. She was with Captain Rex. The clones had turned on her too, but Rex had resisted, removing his inhibitor chip. Yoda's eyes lit with realization. The key, this is. Kamino. The Kaminoans had built the clones. If anyone knew the truth of the chips, it was them. The Jedi and Bail traveled to the watery world. There, Lama Su, the Prime Minister, met them with visible unease. "We suspected Order 66 was a contingency," he admitted, "but not genocide." Using Ahsoka's data, Kaminoan scientists created a deactivation frequency, a single pulse to shut down the chips galaxy-wide. "And Vader?" Obi-Wan asked. "He is no more," Yoda replied, "but a shadow may still remain of the Force." Despite the fall of Sidious and Vader, the galaxy was far from peace. HoloNet reports labeled Yoda as an assassin. The footage of him killing the Emperor, leaked by Imperial loyalists, painted the Jedi as murderers. Public support evaporated. Even as clones deactivated, fear remained. "Coruscant, return to it we cannot," Yoda said gravely. Obi-Wan nodded. "We hide and train." Leia would go with Yoda into exile, Luke with Obi-Wan to Tatooine. But Ahsoka had another idea. "The galaxy must know the truth. I'll go underground, spread the real story, create a network." "A rebellion," Bail Organa said. Yoda looked to Obi-Wan. "The children, our last hope, but the future, uncertain still."
A new hope. Years passed. Leia trained in the shadows with Yoda, strong, wise, and full of fire. Luke grew under Obi-Wan's watch, curious, brave, and good-hearted. The galaxy changed. A silent war raged between truth and propaganda. Ahsoka's network grew, planting seeds of rebellion. One day, they would rise. One day, hope would return. But for now, the Force waited. Two stars hidden in darkness, destined to shine. The Jedi had fallen, but not forever. And this time, they would rise prepared.